Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to TSKF1. How are we doing this morning? I hope you're very, very well indeed. Today, we're going to be talking about changes to the Jeddah circuit, Lewis Hamilton demanding more from the GPDA, and the main news item of the morning is Mattia Binotto, his resignation being confirmed by Ferrari. Not like reports that we've seen over the last few days where if you actually read it, it said that it was imminently expected. It's actually confirmed now by Ferrari at about 3 o'clock this morning. But we have a poll in the chat there. Is it right that Mattia has resigned? Get your votes in on that, guys. Do get your votes in on that and let me know what you think on that. And we will get into the initial news, which is we're starting with the Jeddah changes. Now, it's been said for quite a while, really, that obviously Jeddah is so fast and it was a little bit blind and dangerous and things like this. So they've made a few changes. Now, for the benefit of those who are watching the live stream, I've got pictures to show you. So the first change is out of turn 13 into turn 14. And for those of you not watching the live stream, that's at the far end of the circuit, the long left-hander at Jeddah. At one end of the circuit. So you've got the final corner at one end and you've got the long left-hander at the other as they turn round on themselves, basically. So as they approach turn 14, it goes right. So they've got the long left-hander and then it turns right out of that through turn 14. What they've basically done is pushed the wall back what looks like a number of meters. So you've still got the rumble strip where it used to be, but they've pushed the wall back there for better visibility, better safety, and generally so people can see round and what's coming. Now, look, I'm one of the people that loved Jeddah as was, but I do fully understand that it's probably it is. It's just hellishly dangerous, isn't it? It's very very dangerous. Is the Jeddah circuit? So if this is a move which they deemed necessary to improve safety and visibility around the circuit, then I'm all for it. If it makes the drivers more comfortable, but I mean, on the left-hand side, you still have the wall really close. It just improves the visibility around the circuit, I suppose. And then we have a second area where they've changed as well, which is at turn 20, which is a left-hander just before where Mick Schumacher, I think, had his first crash. He had two crashes at Jeddah, and one of them was at the chicane before the final DRS. And this is just before that, which improves the visibility through to the right-hander just before that chicane. And they've done much the same there. They've pushed the wall back. I don't know, is that like 5-10 meters, something like that, so that you'll be able to see around for anything wrong beyond that, basically. What do we think to these changes? I mean, in chat now you can see them. I've got them up for you. What do you think to these changes at turn 14 and at turn 20? Um, if it's something that the drivers felt was necessary for safety reasons, then I'm all for it. But yeah, track limits will have to be monitored. That's for sure. That is for sure because they'll be able to cut that quite easily, won't they? But they'll probably put some serrations and probably some sausage curves and stuff actually on there. Um, you know, yeah, they've not changed the track. They've just pushed the barriers back. But the thing for me is not crazy, but they could put some kind of like sausage curbs on those interior bits, really, or something to dissuade the drivers from going through there, in any way. Because there's, to me, the only reason that's there, either of these changes, it's purely for visibility. It's not for going out over there. It's not the exit of a corner or anything like that. So to me, it strikes me as purely visibility, and they could put something there to dissuade drivers from going over there. Rumble strips down. Yeah, yeah. Little plastic bollards, maybe. Yeah, but you've still got to. They've got to be tiny, haven't they? If you think about it, because of they're there for visibility. But yeah, big rumble strip probably. That makes sense, doesn't it? To put that there, and then they're not going to really use that. Yeah, it's not really sausage curbs that I want to use, but I'm just thinking of something. It's not really about using sausage curb, just something so that we're not they're not using that. Can you imagine playing F1 online on that? People are going straight through there. They're not messing around through there. The chief executive of Saudi Motorsport said that they are excited, and the evolution of the circuit continues at pace, and we're excited to add these further tweaks to our magnificent track as a result of positive consultation with the FIA, F1, and the drivers. The previous 2 races here in Jeddah have already confirmed the JCC, Jeddah Corniche Circuit, as the world's fastest and most exciting street circuit, and these new developments will only add to the spectacle that the fans can expect to see next March when F1 returns to our city. It is vital for any circuit to listen and learn from those racing on it and use their feedback to grow and improve at all times. We are confident these changes will lead to even faster and more exciting and, crucially, safe racing, and we can't wait to see the world's greatest drivers battle it out here under the lights again in 2023. I think they're good words. They're obviously a bit PR words, but I like what they're saying there. That's the first time I've read those quotes as I was just live, and I like what they're saying there because they are. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They're really highly abrasive tyre stuff that just chews the tyres. Yeah, that's what I was thinking myself. You can't knock it. Now, I'm a huge fan of the Jeddah circuit because to me, it's basically everything modern Formula One represents. It's fast. It's risky. It is dangerous. It's street. It's glamorous in its location. Apart from the first corner, it doesn't have any slow, awkward, annoying anti-F1 corners. It is basically everything a modern F1 circuit should be. And I'm glad that the organisers are taking really quick action. If you think, how long was Albert Park the same, for example, and other circuits around the world? How long have they been exactly the same as they were for a while, They've taken action really quickly to keep everyone happy and things like that. So, Ford engines will go out there. What? It's technical, it's fast. I really like it, and it's one of my favourite F1 circuits to drive, honestly, because it's so committed. You've just got to be so on it, and that the walls are so close and things like that. I can get it from a real F1 driver's point of view that it might be, it's risky and stuff like that. I fully understand that. So, yeah, exactly. Albert Park was the same for 2 decades until this season, and the organisers at Jeddah are really taking steps to listen to feedback, to change because of the feedback, and I think that's great. I think that's really good because it keeps their circuit relevant, doesn't it? And it's a good move. Please do make sure you hit that like button on the stream and also hit that subscribe button, guys. Hit that subscribe button. Now, are we for those? For or against those changes? Let me know in the chat. Is that what other circuits are missing? I mean, Jeddah has 27 corners, although some are hardly a corner. For me, what I don't like in modern Formula One is the insistence on small, little, tight chicanes. To me, it's very anti-F1. I mean, look at what Abu Dhabi have removed. They've removed a really annoying little left-hander, little chicane, and then a left-hander. And I always hated that little series of corners for a fast left-handed corner. Fantastic. So for me, that kind of change is brilliant. I don't like tiny chicanes in Formula One. Like for me, Spa is perfect right up until the final chicane. Uh, like the crap part in Miami, exactly. That tiny little silly tight part in Miami. For me, but that's a personal thing. I hate that in Formula One. In GT cars, in touring cars, okay. But in Formula One, not for me. Not for me. Okay, long, fast sections into like a tight hairpin or something like that, that works. But little chicanes, they're annoying and should be avoided at all costs. But there we go. They are the changes to Jeddah. Now, Lewis Hamilton has been speaking about the GPDA, which is the Grand Prix Drivers Association. One off-topic question: who's your pick for world champion in 23? Lewis or Max? They're the only ones up for it. Lewis or Max? If the Mercedes is there. But if the Mercedes isn't there, then Max will walk it again because there's no significant changes this season coming up. So Lewis has been, he's called for the Grand Prix Drivers Association to use its responsibility and to ensure F1 takes action on the issue it claims it's addressing. So what basically Lewis Hamilton is saying, and I have to agree with him actually, where he's basically, it's a nod to them on about environmental change and representing ethnic minorities. Apologies if I'm not using the politically correct terms, but I say it with all genuine intention. And just things that F1 is saying about inclusivity and everything like that. And he's calling on the Grand Prix Drivers Association to make sure that they collectively also apply their pressure, and that they've got a responsibility as the group of drivers to also hold Formula One to account on the issues that it is claiming it's addressing. And honestly, I agree with him. And there's some quotes here. The entire grid convened, as we know, to give Sebastian Vettel a send-off. And it was organised by Hamilton. And he said afterwards, we were like, we should do this all the time. Maybe we'll make this an annual thing here, and maybe we'll add another one in the year. But there's a lot we can do as the GPDA, as a united group. We've got a responsibility. We have a great platform, each and every one of us, collectively. And there are lots of things F1 has to push forward on action-wise. It says we're doing a lot of things, sustainability and all of those things, but we need to make sure we're pushing through and doing our absolute best, and maybe the GPDA can have a role in that. And I agree with him. And look, some people, I understand. Everyone's different. Some people get annoyed by, Lewis Hamilton's activism and things like that. But I don't think it's a bad thing for the drivers of the GPDA to hold Formula One to account on the very things F1 is saying it's going to be doing. So whether it's about sustainability or going, is it net carbon zero by 2030 and inclusivity and things like this, I don't think it's a bad thing that the GPDA come together and say, look, Formula One, you're saying you are doing this, and we're saying as the group of drivers you should be doing it. Where's the evidence that you're actually, following through, and it's not just lip service to these things to gain popularity or whatever? What do we think to it? Is it an overreach by drivers? Look, I mean, I'll share my opinion, and I think it's a good thing that Lewis is saying that, because we've just seen Sebastian Vettel, in no small part, leaving the sport because of his own things that he believes in with regards to the environment and things like that. Do we think it's an overreach by the drivers? What do we think? Should they involve themselves in things? Now, again, if for me the context is it's the drivers saying, "Hang on, you said you're doing this, we didn't. So if you're saying it, then you should do it." Then I'm all for that, because I think one thing we can all agree on: we don't want corporations or sports or whatever saying things for short-term popularity when really they're not going to follow through with it. That's my opinion. Or do we think they should they do away with it? Jamie says the hypocrisy from F1 about sustainability is too great to ignore. Well, this is part of the thing, isn't it? They're on about that, and then they make a really silly calendar that doesn't make any sense for moving logistically around the world. It's very wasteful. But I really would love your guys' thoughts on this. And I don't think it's Lewis being a busybody or anything like that. I think as he's gotten older, he's seen the power of the platform that he has and that the other drivers have, and I think it's a responsible thing. He's not saying from those quotes that he wants to that he wants to sway Formula One in any way or control the narrative. It purely looks like he's saying we as the drivers can hold Formula One to account for what they've said they will do, and I think that's a good thing. I think drivers like Seb have faced public questioning over it, so really they need the sport to do what they said they'll do. So at least they can say, we've tried and done our part. I agree, John. That's where I'm at with it, because the drivers, I mean, you can see Stefano Domenicali and others getting questioned, but the drivers are the face of it, Not an overreach at all. The drivers cop slack for F1 not doing what they said they'd do. Yep, exactly. Yeah, and I just thought it was an interesting story this morning, because we all know the perception of Lewis Hamilton in the media and how some people will get this and how it will be quoted like Lewis Hamilton is trying to get Formula One to do this or that, and I don't think that's where these quotes are coming from. I don't think that's where these quotes are coming from, and I think it's a good, responsible... Actually, now Lewis is very much one of the oldest drivers on the grid, and it's a responsible stance, I think. But there we go. Now, I looked, and I'm not sure anyone is reporting this. Now, people have been saying for days that Binotto is gone, and so on and so forth. That's not strictly being true. That his resignation was expected imminently, and that was the actual story. He hadn't actually gone, and and I'm very careful with what I say, because it's the internet, because everyone loves to correct you immediately. But this morning at 3 a.m, this was released, and I've actually not seen this anywhere else, but bosh, there you go. Let's move me over there. Well, yeah, I'll move me over there. There. And it looks pretty legitimate to me. I haven't seen it reported anywhere else, but this does look like a real announcement to me from Ferrari. And basically, it's saying that Ferrari has announced that it's accepted the resignation of Mattia Binotto, who will leave his role as team principal on December the 31st. Sky News not long announced it. Benedetto Vigna, which I think is like the CEO of Ferrari entirely, like the proper boss, the chairman or whatever. I would like to thank Mattia for his many great contributions over 28 years with Ferrari, and particularly for leading. Oh, well, I shouldn't go live at 9 a.m. I should have been live at 8, shouldn't I? Particularly for leading the team back to a position of competitiveness during this past year. As a result, we're in strong position to renew our challenge. Above all, for our amazing fans around the world, to win the ultimate prize in motorsport. Everyone here at the Scuderia and in the wider Ferrari community wishes Mattia well for the future. Mattia Binotto said, with the regret that this entails, I've decided to conclude my collaboration with Ferrari. I'm leaving a company that I love, which I've been a part of for 28 years, with the serenity that comes from the conviction that I have made every effort to achieve the objectives set. I leave a united and growing team, ready, I'm sure, to achieve the highest goals, to which I wish all the best for the future. I think it is right to take this step at this time, as hard as the decision has been for me. I would like to thank all the people at the Gestione Sportiva, maybe said that wrong, who have shared this journey with me, made up for difficulties but also of great satisfaction. The process is underway to identify Scuderia Ferrari's new team principal, and it's expected to be finalised in the new year. So there you go. And there you go. That is the report. Being reported just about everywhere. Oh, it hadn't when I would Googling it just before I went live, but there we go. Well, I Googled it about 8:30. But there we go. There's the announcement there from Ferrari. Now, I just wanted to talk about Binotto for a few moments, right? Because I think his resignation needs to be rumours. Yeah, I did a video on it, Craig, a couple of weeks ago, talking about his replacements. Maybe I'll do another one. I don't know, because it's current again now. I wanted to just talk about Binotto's results as F1 Ferrari, boss and team principal, because I feel like he's been somewhat. No, Braun won't take over. He said no. Now, I wanted just to. He took over in 2019, right? Now, look. See, everyone comments like that from Beast. Finally, Binotto is gone. Now, let's look at the facts, shall we? Let's look at the facts. Binotto took over in 2019. Second were Ferrari with 504 points. But the changes to the engine were yet to take full effect in 2019. Because if you remember, everyone was saying about the engine thing from Ferrari when Red Bull and the cost cap thing happened. And everyone forgets how much even the behind closed door deal damaged Ferrari, right? So, 2019, I think it was maybe the end of 2019, I'm not sure. But second, engine stuff about to take effect. So, first full season in charge with the behind closed doors deal for the engine, 2020, Ferrari 6th. Binotto's first year in charge, 6th, right? Now, I would blame that on Aravabene and the engine stuff, honestly, for the 2020 season, right? I don't think that is Binotto's fault at all. I think that's Binotto dealing with the fact a deal had to be done behind closed doors and its legacy of that engine. He got been absolutely hammered for it. 6th, right? I don't think that's Binotto's fault, right? Personally, looking at it and how that happened, I'm not entirely sure. He was involved, but As team principal, you've just asked a question I don't have the answer to. I did get prepared, but not that prepared. Let me have a look. Let me have a look real quick. That's Lewis Hamilton. He was CTO from 2016, so he was Chief Technical Officer. He was Chief Technical Officer. So, 2020, which I believe was the one, that he first had control over. But then 2020, then into 2021, Ferrari are back up to third. And then last year, this season, they're up to second. I have to ask, where is it that Binotto went so wrong? And I'm at a bit of a loss, honestly. Now, we can point at strategic errors. We can point at, I don't know, strategic errors. That's basically it, right? This season. They were never going to win the Constructors this season. They never had the car to beat Red Bull this season. They never did. In early season, when Red Bull were getting their reliability in place, okay, I get that the Ferrari looked sharp and probably had a little bit more pace. But as soon as Red Bull got their reliability in order, that race was over. As much as people might not want to admit it, that's the case. So I'm really struggling to see where going from 6th to 3rd to 2nd. Imagine, right? I mean, let's just let's just do this real quick. Let me just check. So, that would be like, let me just bring this up on screen. That would be like Alfa Romeo. That would be like Alfa Romeo being second in 2024. Can you imagine that? How amazing that job would be. But because it's Ferrari, a shrug of the shoulders, let's make him resign. I'm baffled by that. I think they got too excited at the beginning of the season. The pressure ramped up from them regardless of whether they had the car or not, probably. So many people saying the Ferrari was the quickest this year. Yeah, the clueless. Absolutely clueless, Rob. Honestly, it's mad. It's mad. It was strategy calls, I think, were wrong. I think the pressure was there for Ferrari to make him resign. Now, the big thing here, I think, that might be telling, I think, personally, it's the Leclerc factor. I think Leclerc is loved by Ferrari as a company, as an entity. And there were reports that those tactical errors really created a friction between Binotto and Leclerc. I think that is the driving factor. Now, I'm not into drama, as you know. If it is, it is. I think that makes more sense than the Constructors' results. Because if you look at the Constructors' results, he's done a bloody good job. He's done a really good job. He just has. That is a fact. He's done a really, really good job. I feel like the Leclerc factor is what's happened there. That's what I feel like. There were reports of them having a friction, and especially with the earliest reports of this suggesting Vasseur from Alfa Romeo coming in to take over, because almost specifically because of their relationship from Alfa Romeo. To me, I think that's what they're looking at. Now, obviously, you might get a little bit more out of Leclerc, but you're not getting 205 points extra out of Leclerc. which is the gap in the constructors' standings this year. You're not getting that many results out of him. You might get some more, but I think it is fantasy to think Ferrari were anywhere near Red Bull this season. But that's my theory on it. It doesn't really matter. You know, I mean, look, our Leclerc wants to be the first driver, and with Vasseur, that's very possible. He is the first driver anyway. I mean, look, it's not, it's not there, but he is, isn't he? I think everyone knows. I think everyone knows he's the first driver, apart from Carlos, maybe. I think literally everyone knows he's the guy, right? Please smash a like on the stream. You might have to close the chat down to hit the like, but it really, really helps. Binotto has done a good job. There have been some questionable strategy calls, but they lost as many points to reliability and driver errors. Yeah, exactly, Carl. Exactly. Imola, France for Leclerc. Carlos, his car bursting into flames at Red Bull Ring. There were others. There were definitely others. And I think if you look at where Ferrari have finished in the Constructors' Championships over the past few years, their reputation was damaged this season. I don't think it was, Matthew. I really don't think it was. Ferrari... No. The optics of Ferrari have had very much worse situations than this for me over the years. Lots of I don't think it... Maybe the optics of looking idiots sometimes. I don't know. I feel like they've had much worse situations. They have done before, though, Matthew. They have done before. Dude. I mean, there are many situations like Fernando is faster than you. The finish when it used to be called A1 ring, when it was Schumacher and Barrichello back in the day. Ferrari are just known for it. Even with all the achievements that he had, his head far up his ass, he won't get the point. I don't really see what I don't understand what you're saying, Beast. Honestly, I don't really know. What is it that you'd want from a team principal? Results. And he clearly delivered results in a time when Ferrari had been cheating, frankly. So, from 6th to 2nd in 3 years is pretty bloody good going, I think. I think it's really good going. I think it has to be the Leclerc factor myself, but 65% of you think it's the right decision. Obviously, we don't know everything that goes on inside these teams. 65% of you think it says 64%, but think it's the right decision. It probably is from the internal politics stance of Ferrari, but looking purely at the results, it's got to be about more than the Constructors' Championship because he's delivered in that regard very clearly. Now, of course, we could get into next season and the Spain Cup. He could have absolutely messed that up and it could be terrible. I just want to see someone else, fresh people. Yeah, he's only been there 3 years. Shall we get rid of Toto Wolff and Christian Horner? I don't know. I'm not on board with that either. But there we go, guys. There we go. Binotto officially gone at the end of the year, and as soon as I find out anything about... no, but you know what I mean. Just see someone else because of fresh people. There are loads of people that have been in a job longer than Binotto in Formula One. But anyway... I'll be live over on Facebook Gaming very, very shortly with the continuation of our F1 manager career. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you later. See you later, guys. Yeah, and...